Hey, everybody. This is Dominic D'Angelo, WrestleZone.com, and this is episode three of WCW Rewritten. Now, if you're not familiar with this format, my degenerate brother, Marcus, here will be.
Hello.
Hey there, Marcus. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you guys for tuning in. Go ahead, Dominic. I didn't mean
Yeah,
to interrupt with my
that's all right.
greeting.
How dare you interrupt me?
Sorry
Uh,
about that.
but my degenerate brother will be. What he's doing is rebooking WCW.
That's
So
what I'm
this,
doing.
that's what I'm doing. So you're a real fuckface here, trying to get some momentum going. You keep
right out, right
stepping
out
on
of
my
the gate.
fucking toes here.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But so he'll run down each episode of Nitro. We started with Starrcade 1997, and then it's off to the races. So last episode was Nitro right after that Starrcade, and this episode is the January. What is it, Marcus? January 5th.
January 5th, 1998. So 2 weeks after Starrcade, or no, it's a week and a day after Starrcade 1997. And yeah, man, things are heating up. We've got to, we are not going to give updates every week where we run down what happened the week prior. It's just like a soap opera, man, just like actual pro wrestling. There's going to be very little of them telling you what happened the week before. You'll get a little bit of it. There's very little of them telling you what happened the week before. You can tune right in right now and just try to catch up, or go back into the archives of WrestleZone.com and give a listen to episodes 1 and 2, so you can get the full rundown of rules and basically how we're approaching this whole thing.
And hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, give this video a like. And if you haven't subscribed to the WrestleZone YouTube channel, which we got a crap ton of content on there, not just this, but interviews, WrestleZone recaps, the rundowns, and much more. So
Including our other podcast, Two Dynamite Dudes with Attitudes.
With attitude, and that's where we recap AEW Dynamite for you every week.
Enough plugs
every week. But give that a like and hit the little ring a ding ding bell there, and you'll be getting all that shit. So there you go. Marcus, so we kind of ran a little bit of contest, but we're gonna keep doing it. It's continuing. We discussed last week how Bret Hart is such a big star, and like he was so underutilized at WCW. So like just obviously like he should have been used so much more. And you think about the big stars that had big music for that time. Hogan had Jimi Hendrix, Voodoo Child. Raven had Come As You Are by Nirvana, and like my most favorite one is Diamond Dallas Page's Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana.
To be fair though, DDP and Raven both had kind of knockoff songs. Those weren't the actual songs. Hulk Hogan, they actually got the rights for Voodoo Child, obviously, for Hulk Hogan, from Jimi Hendrix estate.
Yeah, but you listen to like Smells Like Teen Spirit. I mean, it's pretty hard to like.
Well, which is why if you listen on the network now, it's a very different song than what you were hearing.
Very different. So it's a very indistinguishable, I almost feel, but so what we're thinking, Bret Hart needed a song like that. Like he deserved a song like his own tune like that.
His song sucked.
It was not good. I went back and put it over a Twitter clip we did, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but it's still, he deserved better. So what we're doing, we ran a little bit of contest, and listeners already gave some of their inputs on some good songs coming in. We've had a diverse selection so far. Marcus, one is the Chicago Bulls theme. I happen to be wearing a Michael Jordan jersey right here, but I did not know that Michael Jordan theme, or the Chicago Bulls from the 90s theme, was Alan Parsons' project.
Yeah, how about that? We also got the I think it's called the Matthew Good Band was Canadian. One. We got Stone Temple Pilots. So some really strong suggestions so far. And yeah, Dominic, next week we're gonna pick the winner. So there's one more week to weigh in. And the ones that sound the best, or the ones that seem to get the most reaction on Twitter, Dom, you're gonna put up some kind of a poll or something, and we'll let the people decide.
This is the people's podcast here, and we want the people to voice their opinion, because this is like what Marcus, the whole intent of this is to kind of like just enjoy and be nostalgic about it, and like kind of like relive a time where it's where WCW didn't make the most of a lot of opportunities. There were such many missed opportunities. Obviously there was some great stuff on there, but 1998 was my favorite year of wrestling. no doubt. But that's not to say that it was not without its hiccups, especially on the.
Well, you've got guys like John Nord coming in, the former Berserker. You've got Marty Jannetty coming into WCW. It's like, hey, like let's save that money and put it towards something a little more interesting, like securing the rights for Bret Hart to have a more than decent, more than shitty, certainly, WCW entrance theme. If Hogan deserves it, Bret Hart damn sure deserves it if he was making the kind of money that we hear he was making back then.
Marcus, this is a touch off topic, but I got into a very heated debate with friends over the course of the past weekend about who was better, Hulk Hogan or Bret Hart. And I always just think wrestling is a subjective art form, so you cannot have a wrong answer to that. So, like, from if you're saying from a drawing perspective, obviously Hogan, and wrestling is ultimately about making money. It was a con artist game. It was birthed on carnival grounds. The whole purpose is to make money and to con people out of money. So, I mean, if you're going by that standpoint, you'd say Hogan, but again, it's like you're telling me, hey, Dominic, you have to listen to Metallica because that is the best band, where I may prefer the Eagles and listen to the Eagles and say, hey, no, the Eagles are a better band.
Yeah, I mean, as a technician, it's not even close. Bret Hart is a better wrestler. As a money draw, not even close. Hulk Hogan is a better wrestler. So, I mean, you can make arguments one way or the other. Really depends on what your definition of great is as it pertains to pro wrestling. But hey, how about we all just enjoy what we enjoy?
That's right. There's nothing wrong with you liking Hogan, you liking Renegade, you liking.
seems weird, but if that's what you're into,
that's
no
what
problem.
You're into? Then,
for you,
then
John,
hey,
for you, John
Jerry,
Nord fans, for
Jerry
you, John Nord fans
Flynn?
out there. Sorry, I trashed you. But yeah, let's everybody enjoy what we enjoy. You know what I enjoy, Dominic, is WCW in 1997, 98. Not so much in 99, and certainly not in the year 2000 or 2001. So we're starting at the end of 97, beginning of 98, and I am rewriting the book, which is why we're calling this WCW Rewritten.
Correct. And the heck, we talked about it, what I do, and as we go on, I can only imagine that these cards, the original cards, are going to veer off from originally from what you're going to have. So I'm sure as I read on and on throughout the weeks of what this original card was for this particular episode, it's going to change quite a bit, or things going to be a lot different. So they already are. They were last week. I remember off air texting you about, hey, why wasn't this match on here? And you were like, well, I was saving it for next week. So here we go.
Yeah, you can only get so much into 1 week. I'm trying to work my storylines in. So yeah, I mean, week by week, it's gonna be a further departure from what you saw on the actual program. I'm not even sure what the value is. By the time we get 6 months into this thing, I'm not even sure what the value is of you running down the.
I think just for reference point is all.
Yeah, maybe just for fun. For WCW.
Hey, this is what they originally did that night, and this is what we're doing now.
All right. Well, let's roll on it.
Let's roll on it, man. So the card, I'm just running it down here. Opening match, WCW United States Heavyweight Title match. Diamond Dallas Page defeated Chris Jericho. Then we had a singles match. Goldberg continues his streak by defeating Stevie Ray. Then another singles match. You mentioned him already. John Nord defeated the Barbarian. Wow, that's weird.
Yeah. According to the Observer, that was not a good match.
WCW Cruiserweight title match. For the number one contendership. And it was Juventud Grau defeated Psychosis. We had Booker T defend his world television title and defeat Prince Iaukea. Then we had a 6-man tag. Ray Traylor and the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott obviously, defeated the NWO, which consisted of Buff Bagwell, Conan, and Scott Norton, with Vincent at their side. Then next up, we had Rick Martel defeat Brad Armstrong. Wow, those are some names right there. Tag team match, Riggs and Saturn with Raven, part of Raven's flock, obviously, defeated Chris Benoit and Steve McMichael. And then main event. Wow, this is the main event. Lex Luger defeated Randy Savage. So there you go.
That's quite a main event. And actually, now that I'm thinking of it, that was the match. I think that may have been the main event at Sold Out 98. So they kind of gave it away on free TV first.
Interesting. And it's kind of funny to look back on that and be like, you see a WWE's current product and you're just like, why are they giving that match away? That should be a pay-per-view match. And here WCW's kind of did that too. We just
and you and I talk on Two Dynamite Dudes all the time about how AEW is giving stuff away on free TV a lot too. So I don't know, I think that may have been, that era was kind of the start in giving away matches on free TV. You got Goldberg and Hogan in the middle of the year on a free Nitro
coming on down.
Yeah. So in any case, we digress. Dominic, are we ready to get into my thing? Do you have any questions, any comments? You ready to rock?
This is kind of I don't know if it really pertains to too much, but it does kind of mention, like, when you ran down the episode last week that you did, it felt, not from a critical standpoint, I'm just saying, just from an observation standpoint, is that it felt short. So my question for you is, are you adhering to that? Now, I don't know. I think Nitro was it only 2 hours at this point, or did it switch to 3 at this juncture?
It was only 2 hours at this point, if I'm remembering correctly, because I do remember at the hour change. That's when Bobby Heenan would come in for Larry Zbyszko, which I keep, by the way.
Which is,
cool. Which you've got to have. So I think it was only 2 hours. For the purposes of this, it will always be only a 2 hour program. I'm never turning into a 3 hour program, just like I'm never doing Thunder or a Saturday night. So I'm rewriting it. So this is my format. And yeah, so you've got to keep in mind also, Dom, that I'm not telling you every time there's a commercial. I'll mention it sometimes.
If it needs to be,
if it needs to be mentioned, but I'm not mentioning every time WCW throws to commercial. We don't know what the length of these matches are necessarily. I'm not saying, I'll say it for some of them, but I'm not saying like, well, this match was 6 minutes and 42 seconds. No, that's silliness. I'm just telling you what happens during the match.
Right.
So just rest assured that as I'm writing, I'm like, okay, we got to be coming close to the end of 2 hours in my mental clock. So I need to wrap this thing up.
Exactly. Okay, sounds good. Let's get to it. My favorite part of this whole thing is I don't have to do anything really. I'm like,
all you have to do is react. Like
it's like I'm tuning into the network or something and watching Nitro.
The Ed McMahon role. You just sit there and react.
Yeah. So let's have it.
All right, guys, here we go. The WCW Monday Nitro from January 5th, 1998. We open the show with the footage of Sting's win from last week. They make a point of starting at the spot where Hogan is splashed before rolling out of the ring, and we watch to see the finale where Scott Hall submits to the Scorpion Deathlock as Schiavone loses his damn mind. All right, so next we move to the awesome Nitro opening. I think that we all remember this opening, right? You've got like the line of fire that's burning down the street, and buildings are fucking exploding. And there's like,
isn't the giant yelling at some point?
Lex Luger is yelling for sure. He's like flexing at somebody, which is awesome. And then, it ends with the big explosion behind what is, it says WCW Monday Nitro. I kind of get chill bumps every time I think about that intro, man. That like instantly I'm back to being 11 years old and being fucking jacked up.
Excitement as a kid, it's unbridled. Like you go, dude, I remember summer nights going back, checking out Nitro. And like, we had the local carnival in town or whatever each year, and just like rushing back to see Nitro, or you taped it on record on your VCR.
Yep. You had to hit the rewind on that.
Boom. You did not know anything that happened. You would not check the internet. You would just go and fucking watch it and see what happened.
Old tube TV, man.
Yep.
Those are good days.
Oh, those were the days. Those pay-per-view days too, where you'd watch the squiggly lines.
and by the way, we're gonna have conversations like this throughout the podcast where we talk about the damn feels, because I think we all had some feels as we go back and relive some of these memories on the network. So hopefully I can give a little bit of that here too.
Yeah, hopefully you assholes at home here listening feel the same.
Unnecessary, Dominic. All right, so the pyro goes off and we're live, pal. Tony Schiavone, Mike Tenay, and Larry Zbyszko are all here, and they're heavily focused on the turmoil within the NWO. They remind us that Hogan has named Bischoff, Savage, Buff, and Scott Norton the only remaining members of the once dominant group, and they speculate on what that could mean for Hall, Nash, and the others.
So Brian Adams is out of the NWO. He's not there either.
Brian Adams has not debuted in WCW.
Oh, hasn't he?
I was just reading in the Observer. I think it was around this time that he signed his contract.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Cool. So he has not yet made an appearance. As we settle in, Schiavone tells us that the show is opening with a bang tonight because we have a title match to start this off. Dominic, this is what you were asking me about. Booker T's incredible music hits. and he makes his way down to the ring. During this period, Stevie Ray was legitimately injured. So to me, I'm like, hey, what better time to let Booker T shine here? Disco Inferno makes his way down to the ring like the disco dancing fool that he is, and he's carrying the TV title. This match is underway. So Gilberty is a good hand. A lot of people talk trash about Disco Inferno, and yes, the gimmick was not great. Although when you look at that guy, you're like, what other gimmick would work for that guy, right? Like he looks like he should love disco. So despite people trashing him, and there's like that gif out there of him like giving maybe the worst swinging neck breaker in the history of the business, he was a really good hand. He actually reminds me a lot of Dolph Ziggler's brother. What's his name?
Oh, Ryan Nemeth.
Yes, every time I watch Ryan Nemeth, I'm like, he works like Gilberty. So they're I think they're very similar dudes, very similar styles, and Gilberty was a good wrestler. And he's a pro here. We get a little bit of everything that Booker T has to offer. You get the sidewalk slam and the side kick, and his beautiful missile drop kick. There's a little.
Does he do the Harlem Hangover?
I'm cutting the Harlem Hangover from this. Probably just this match though. I might bring it back, but it was such a dangerous move. Countless times Booker T's like heel would catch people in the face on that. I'm like, I don't want people getting smashed in the face, but I don't know. I might bring it back because again, this is a perfect world, right? Where like nobody gets injured. There's no drug rehab or anything. So it's like, well, then Booker T's pulling this thing off like a pro.
Do you have any personal? Is there a personal favorite maneuver of Booker T's from this time?
I love the standing side kick. I always thought that was great. That was where he'd like get somebody in like an arm bar and
arm wrench him.
Yeah, he'd do the arm bar and he would just like kick his leg back and it would look like it would knock their damn head off.
Let me say that's one of my favorite moves on Revenge too.
Yes. Oh, dude, all the feels right now. But anyways, there's good back and forth, and Booker T ends this match with an axe kick, and the booth puts him over huge. Your new WCW television champion is Booker T. So what I'm saying here is it's time to put Booker T in this spot. He had everything, right? He had a great look, he had a great physique, and he was a great worker. So I'm happy to keep this piece of business where it was actually the week before and legitimately that he defeated Disco Inferno to become the TV champion. The TV title was once really highly respected, but WCW kind of trashed over the years, and actually literally trashed it a few years later when Scott Hall like did a dunk into the trash can with the TV title, basically just rendering it worthless. And I'm going to restore it to its former glory here.
Let me make note too. Booker T considers that his like biggest highlight of a title win. I think was that title, winning that belt.
I mean, you look at some of the incredible talent that had it before him. I mean, right off the top of my head, how about Arn Anderson, who gave it like some real prestige? I believe Steve Austin held the TV title at one point. So it's like it's a cool title.
And you know what? When I think of the TV title in WCW, I think of Booker T.
Yeah, that's because of our era. I think a lot of people tend to think of Arn Anderson, but me too. Like Booker T should have the TV title, and man, I can't think of any. But like it feels like a very logical first step to put this title on Booker T at this stage of the podcast. So I'm glad that they actually did it in real life, and I'm keeping it.
Yep, cool.
All right, so we move backstage, and who do we see back there but Hector Garza? He's in street gear, and he's standing in a hallway alone, leaning against the wall, reading the WCW magazine. In a door in the background, a door quietly opens, and from the darkness, out pops Eddie Guerrero's head. And he says, Hector. Hector doesn't hear. Hey, Hector. Still nothing. Man, turn around. Eddie finally shouts frustrated. Hector jumps and turns around. Relax, Holmes. It's me, Eddie, your friend. Hector takes a reluctant step. We got to talk, man. Eddie says, important business to discuss. Hector walks into the room. Eddie puts his arm around his shoulder and slowly shuts the door behind them. So I'm getting a little bit silly with this, but I do want this angle to have some moments of both. Eddie was he had great comedic moments in his wrestling career, but I also really like the intense, legitimate Eddie Guerrero. And I'm like, let's walk a line. Like, let's have some fun with this.
And when you're doing wrestling in certain regards, like you got to flex each kind of muscle there. And comedic, if you do it at the right moments in time, it's a good payoff and it makes total sense. And I think Eddie was a beautiful balance of all that.
He was legitimately. So I'm gonna honor his memory by keeping that sort of vibe alive here. Hopefully I'll be able to walk the line well. All right, so next we've got Lex Luger taking on the Barbarian. So on paper, this is not a good match. So to protect everybody's sanity, this match is gonna be right around 4 minutes, with the referee calling the match after Luger gets Barb in the torture rack. So the real action happens here when Mean Gene makes his way to the ring to talk to Lex. So Gene congratulates Lex on his win before saying, Lex Luger, you're unquestionably one of WCW's top talents. You had a huge hand in helping to dismantle the NWO. And now that they've been divided, what's next for the total package? Well, Gene, Luger responds, WCW is filled with an incredible amount of talent. I think a great example of that talent was shown in the opening match tonight. Booker T, you're one of the fastest rising stars in the business and a man who can give honor to a prestigious prize like the TV title. That said, I hope that you'll do me the honor of defending that belt against the total package Lex Luger on January 24th at Sold Out. You've proven that you can hang with the big boys here in WCW, but I want to see for myself if you have what it takes to be the future face of World Championship Wrestling. There you have it. Gene says, Booker T, you can bet I'll be talking to you soon to see if you'll answer the challenge of Lex Luger. Tony, back to you. So I want Booker T to get a little shine here. Let's put him in the ring with a big star.
Yeah. Now here's something. You mentioned the pay-per-view coming up, Sold Out. Well,
January 24th, Dominic. I believe it was presented by Snickers.
Ooh, as it should be.
Go ahead.
But the thing is the NWO is divided now. What's Sold Out is still an entity at this point, or I know the NWO is still a thing, but
so in 1997, I think it was one of the worst WCW pay-per-views that ever took place, and it was NWO Sold Out. But I believe starting in 1998, they dropped that and they just call it WCW NWO Sold Out.
Okay, but it still has that NWO vibe. Like whenever I think of Sold Out, I would think of that NWO pay-per-view.
Sure. NWO still exists, Dominic.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to
make sure everything was
hashed out and thought about. That's it.
Are you even paying attention?
Hey, I'm throwing stuff out there.
No, I'm glad you're asking these questions, because if you're thinking it, there's a good chance some of the listeners are thinking it. So I want to be thorough here. All right, so Tony hypes the possibility of a match between the two men and informs us that he was just told of another title match happening here tonight. In the main event, Diamond Dallas Page will be defending his newly won U.S. title against Buff Bagwell. Tony starts to throw to commercial, but suddenly we start seeing feedback on the screen as some other video footage tries to override WCW's feed. It flickers back and forth a few times before this pirate broadcast takes over.
Ooh.
All right, we are taken into a dark, large room, at the center of which is a circle of burning candles. As the camera closes in, we see a man sitting in the center of that circle as if in meditation. His dark, stringy hair covers his face. He's flicking a Zippo lighter open and closed in one hand. He looks up and we get our first look at Chris Kanyon. On the ground in front of him is the Mortis mask. Often, he says, people refer to fire as a great destroyer. They see buildings, cars, and material items burn, and they view it as ruin. Me, Chris Kanyon, I see fire as a great purifier. We destroy with it to start fresh, to rise like a phoenix from the ashes of ruin. Maybe that has been my hidden purpose in WCW from the start, and I was just too blind to see it. Maybe I didn't come here, but was put here to change the established paradigm. These so-called real men that inhabit WCW, the jocks, the pretty boys, the body guys, they're like an infestation overrunning a dilapidated house. I'm not here to play the exterminator. No. To end the infestation, I'm here to burn the house down. Kanyon lights the Zippo and touches it to the Mortis mask. The mask has been doused in lighter fluid and immediately bursts into flames. Kanyon remains seated, watching the mask burn. With the Zippo still lit, Kanyon holds the lighter straight up in the air above his head. From off screen, a hand reaches out and takes the lighter. The camera moves to reveal Raven's face illuminated by the flickering lighter. He says, quote the Raven, nevermore, and flicks his Zippo shut as the pirate broadcast ends and we go to commercial.
Very nice.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, Chris Kanyon kind of came in with a whimper, if I remember right. Whenever he stopped being Mortis and joined the flock, and I'm like, you know what? Like, let's give him something. Like, let's do vignettes. WCW didn't do enough of them, so like let's start new in my version.
Hey, you know what? That's a very you haven't. I don't know if you've watched any MLW, but they do that. They cut the feeds with Contra Unit doing it.
Do they really?
Yeah, they cut all. It's like the feed always gets interrupted, even if it's just like a little hiccup throughout the show. Like there's a match going on or something, you'll see like this, and then like Contra's logo pops up real quick and then it goes away. It's pretty cool. So yeah, it
and
works.
that's kind of the flavor I'm going for. And actually, you know, as I was writing this, I was like picturing like all that stuff that they always do in the 90s, right? Where you've got like multiple camera angles and it's kind of jumping between the two, and like maybe one of the camera angles is like sideways or upside down for a sec, you know. And it's like I'm just picturing like some classic 90s sort of
some Blair Witch shit going on.
Exactly, this weird kind of creepy production style.
Yeah.
All right, when we return, Tony and crew apologize for the interrupted broadcast and speculate on the nature of the relationship between Raven and the former Mortis, Chris Kanyon. They throw to a backstage scene where Eddie Guerrero is holding court in a locker room with chairs pulled up around him. In the chairs are Hector Garza, Psychosis, La Parka, and Silver King. Eddie is saying, when will enough be enough? When was the last time you were in a main event? Or you, or you, or you? When was the last time I was in the main event? I have the talent. We have the talent. We just don't have what we came to WCW for, opportunities. We come back to Tony and crew, who wonder what all that was about before taking us to the opportunity developing in the ring as Rey Mysterio and Chavo Guerrero await the bell. The two get off to pretty much exactly what you would expect between the two of these here, a fast-paced spectacle of a match. Rey gains the advantage, and it looks like the match is approaching its end when the camera reveals Eddie and his followers have emerged from the curtain and are headed toward the ring. They get into the ring, and the ref bails out, effectively ending the bout. Eddie has a mic. Chavito, my nephew, look at what they do to you, man. Look at what they do to all of us. They put us out here, pit us against our own people for entertainment, and give us what? Scraps. Last week, I got screwed out of my cruiserweight title. And this week, I see my nephew being taken advantage of. What's next week? Next month? Next year? Chavo, we've had our problems, as all families do. But now, I ask you, will you join me? Will you join the Latino fight to get what we've deserved for so long? Don't just do it for me, nephew. Do it for all the Latinos. And do it for Chavo Classic. He's watching now. Make him proud. Chavo has had his head down, listening to Eddie. But at the mention of his father, he looks up and seems to have tears in his eyes. He comes forward and hugs Eddie, who gets an evil grin on his face for the hard cam. Now, Eddie says after Chavo falls in behind him, on to the next piece of business. Rey Mysterio Jr., we've had a lot of issues. Our match last year at Halloween Havoc was an all-time classic, man. You cheated, and you screwed me out of my cruiserweight title just like J.J. Dillon and WCW did last week, but it was a good match. Despite our issues, Rey, you're Latino, so I realize that I have two paths to take here, the path of brotherhood or the path of righteousness. Eddie pauses and looks around at the crowd before refocusing on Rey. Looking at you now, I know what the right thing to do is. Everyone but Chavo jumps Rey and starts beating him down. Chavo soon joins in and they kick Rey's ass, appearing to intentionally damage his knee in the process. Eddie hits a frog splash before grabbing the mic again. This right here is what happens when you cross Los Latinos. We are on a singular mission to get us the opportunities we've deserved from the start in WCW. If you stand in the way, you'll pay a heavy price. Los Latinos leave the ring, and soon medical staff rush in to help Mysterio. He does a stretcher job as Tony, Tenay, and Zabisco disparage the heinous actions of Los Latinos. So I know that I said that injuries were not going to be a thing in WCW, but according to the Observer, around this time, Rey Mysterio had been battling some serious knee issues, and they'd been going on for a while, and he needed surgery at this point. So it was actually a little ways down the road that they did some angle. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Jericho.
I think it was Jericho. Jericho took him out or something.
Jericho or Conan. I can't really remember, but in any case, because that issue existed before Starrcade 1997, I'm not just going to ignore it and go ahead and forge ahead with storylines for Rey. He's taking a break from WCW following this event to get surgery and recover, but rest assured, he'll be back with a vengeance.
Heck, there's nothing wrong. Absence makes a heart grow fonder. So
that's it, man. And by the way, I'm saying that injuries aren't a thing. There's a couple of wrestlers that are out with injury right now, and who have been out since before Starrcade. So it's essentially when everybody's back from their injury and healed, there's no more injuries. So I'm just gonna book.
And Mark, I don't think it's a bad thing too if you use an injury as an angle. Like, I mean,
oh yeah, and people are gonna need to be off TV for a while.
Yeah,
we'll see that for sure in one of my storylines later this year. So yeah, just know that if an injury happens, it's probably storyline.
So Los Latinos, it's the faction name, huh?
Los Latinos. Yeah, I don't want to do LWO. It just felt really derivative at the time. Even it was cool
shirts though.
they were cool looking, and I'm hoping like whatever, maybe you can come up with a design, Dom. Like whatever design happens, I definitely want those colors, and it's got to look cool. But yeah, I just didn't like the derivative nature of LWO, so I was like Los Latinos, the Latinos. It's good enough, perfect.
Yeah, simple.
That's it.
Simple alliteration. You got it all. La Parka,
Los Latinos. Come on. All right, up next we get Goldberg taking on Rick Steiner. So Steiner comes to the ring alone, and he's continually looking behind him, showing frustration that his brother isn't present to support him. The announcers hammer the point home too, so that the audience at home kind of gets the picture. Like, hey, where's Scott Steiner? Why isn't Scott Steiner supporting his brother? And they're mentioning that even though they're tag team champions, they've not seemed very cohesive as of late. Scott's actions have been questionable. So Bobby Heenan, he took over for Zbyszko at the second hour, and he calls out Scott Steiner bluntly, saying that he needs to act like a man befitting the WCW World Tag Team Championship. So this is a 5-minute match, but it is not a squash match. So we've got to keep the match short for Goldberg's sake, but I do not want to bury Rick Steiner. So Steiner holds his own for a while, but he does succumb to the spear and jackhammer, of course. So around this time, by the way, fans were starting to pop for Goldberg a lot. Like they were starting to kind of get it, and it's like you see that kind of explosiveness with like his spear, and we weren't seeing stuff like that before, like stiff, nasty looking moves like Goldberg.
Yeah, it was like, holy shit.
You're right, and it's because he was actually stiff, so it sort of makes sense.
Kind of worked.
Yeah, but like you were seeing some stuff that we hadn't seen to that point, and I mean, it was like the kind of seeing it happen. Around this time, you're starting to see fans stand up, like, what the hell did I just see?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that beating an established champion and like a guy who's been in the business for a long time, like Rick Steiner, again, we're just putting feathers in Bill's cap.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so following the match, the camera follows a woozy Rick Steiner as he heads toward the curtain, and out comes Scott. The announcer suggests that, like, oh, okay, like he's here to help his brother get to the back, but Scott completely ignores Rick and heads over to Bobby Heenan. Scott gets in Heenan's face and starts yelling at him about the comments he made before the match. Scott rears back to punch Heenan, but Rick is there to catch his arm in time to stop him. The brothers argue, and we hit another commercial.
Nice.
All right,
little tension set.
A little tension. We're starting.
Hey, we get that tension. Me and you, my brothers. We get it. Okay.
I am definitely the Scott Steiner between the two of us.
I wear the headgear. I don't give a fuck.
All right. When we return, Heenan has taken a powder, which he would always do whenever people would like threaten him. He would just like leave for the night or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we've just got Shivani and Tenay. Shivani is quick to throw to a scene that's developing backstage as we speak, and we find Zbyszko laid out and getting the boots put to him by Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Conan, Hennig, and Rude. After beating his prone body for a little bit, Hall says, "Come on, guys," and they leave Larry Lang. The camera follows them as they make their way to the ring. They still have no music, but a large portion of the crowd is booing, and Schiavone and Tenay are expressing concern about Zbyszko. Hall grabs a mic when they get to the ring. Hey, yo, last week that fossil Zbyszko cost me only the second title shot I've ever gotten in my career. The NWO may have lost sight of its original goal, but me and these men, Hall indicates to Nash, Rude, Hennigan, and Conan, we got reminded last week about why we're here, to get rid of the old has-beens who've ruled the business for long enough. Nash grabs the mic next. It doesn't matter who stands in our way. You're looking at a pack of young, hungry wolves, and we'll tear all of WCW apart to get what we want. The announcers come alive, and the camera changes to show Zbyszko limping through the curtain, selling his neck, and he's coming down the ramp. Scott Hall grabs the mic again. You want some more, old man? There won't be anything left of you for sold out. Larry stops halfway down the entryway and turns back toward the curtain. The Giant emerges, and the guys in the ring sell it like they've seen a ghost. As Larry and the Giant head for the ring, Hall, Nash, Hennig, Rude, and Conan all bail out and leave through the crowd. Larry picks up the mic that they left behind. Hall, I wish I had a good Larry Zbyszko impression like Arn.
Yeah, we got to get Arn on in the show.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hall.
God. Come on.
Hall, you've proven that you're too much of a coward to face me man to man, which is why you and your cronies had to jump me backstage. Well, it's sold out. You won't have to face me alone. You bring that big Harry and the Hendersons look-alike Kevin Nash with you, and I'll bring the Giant. We can make it a tag match, and I'll finally shut your big mouth for good. The crowd and announcers go nuts about the big announcement, and we go to a break. So I loved the Kevin Nash and Giant feud, the Giant versus Giant. Yeah. It was basically what I came in as a wrestling fan too.
Fat Marcus loved the two big men.
And I remember being like thinking that the two legitimately hated each other.
Yeah, right. I had that vibe too. I was like, dude, this is like serious shit.
Yep. And
I'm letting the cat in real quick. Keep going though.
Oh yeah. And that's what they always say that you want with pro wrestling, right? Where you want to see something on TV and be like, you know what, all the rest of this might be a work, but that is real. And that's what I felt when it came to Kevin Nash and the Giant, where I was like, I think they truly hate each other.
Yeah.
And so I'd love that angle, but like facts are facts. It wasn't a good match, and the two guys they're too damn big to work each other and have good chemistry. So I mean, we're building toward this thing anyways, because Nash had to no-show Starrcade '97. So the match is inevitable, just like the Hall and Zbyszko match is inevitable. So I'm like, hey, let's just combine them. Like let's make it one match, tag match, and that way maybe we can kind of hide some of the weaknesses of some of the participants.
Hall's a hell of a worker, hell of a seller. He can do all that stuff.
Larry was getting on in age, but he could still like work. Like, by the way, I'm not trashing Nash or the Giant. The Giant was a really good athlete, and Kevin Nash, I think, is a super underrated worker. Just like from
he knows how to work.
Yeah, and like a psychology standpoint, I think Kevin Nash is up there with the greatest big men in the history of the business.
Absolutely.
So I'm not trashing them. I see a better opportunity here.
Yep.
All right, so after the break, Tony hypes the card for Sold Out so far, being before throwing to a pre-tape that took place earlier in the day. So Mean Gene is backstage doing a stand-up interview with Bret Hart. Gene asks Bret, "What do you make of the Bret?" I'll do my Gene voice. Bret, what do you make?
Put that cigarette out.
What do you make of the encounter with Ric Flair last week here on Nitro? Well, Bret starts. Rick was undeniably the best in the business during his prime. I have nothing but respect for. Just then, Ric Flair butts in from off screen, grabbing Gene's wrist to get the mic in front of himself. Mean, woo! By God, Gene! I don't know what your thoughts are, but it sounded to the Nature Boy like our pal here, the Hitman, was implying that I'm past my prime. What do you say, Bret? Bret pulls Gene's wrist back toward himself, but Nate snatches it right back. Before you say another word, Hart, I want to give you an opportunity. One last chance to tell me to my face that in your heart, you know what me and the rest of the world have known for a long time. That the Nature Boy Ric Flair is now and always will be the best in the history of the business. Bret grabs Gene's wrist again, and when Rick tries to pull it back this time, Hart's grip tightens, leaving Gene in a kind of a fun tug of war, which we all would love to see Gene in, of course. Right? You just see like that look on his face? Rick, I said it last week and I'll say it here again, and I hope that it sinks in. I respect you, but there's only one excellence of execution, and you're getting dangerously close to pissing him off. Rick pulls on Gene's arm, but Brett won't let go. Rick steps in and gets nose to nose with Hart, with Gene now holding the mic for both of them. Let me tell you something, kid. You got damn lucky a few years ago when you got one over on me, and I think now your luck's run out. The dirtiest player in the game has picked up more tricks since the last time we met, and I have half a mind to teach them to you at Sold Out. That sounds like a challenge to me, Rick, Brett says. You're damn right it is, Rick replies. Brett sticks out his hand. May the best man win, he says. Rick moves to shake Brett's hand, but instead he slicks back his hair. You can bet he will. Rick walks away, and Gene reiterates what we just heard. Bret Hart will face Ric Flair for his first match in WCW. It's Sold Out.
All right, I'm amped. I'm fucking amped.
Right? It's a great feud, great workers. Come on now, you can't go wrong.
Great segment. Great segment.
We return to live TV, and Tony hypes the incredible news that we just heard before throwing to Dave Penzer for our main event. Bagwell comes to the ring alone, doing his usual shtick. Bagwell, he had undeniable value back then. Like, yes, it looks like a complete chode of a human being, just like. But that was kind of his thing, right? Where it's like he was very hateable. I remember our dad, who was a very casual, like kind of just a guy walking
by.
Right. The two people that jumped out at him the most during this era were Goldberg and Buff Bagwell. And it's like Bagwell's he's like got it all. He's like this great looking guy. He's got an incredible physique. He's like super arrogant. But that was, we all came to find he was like kind of a one trick pony, and that's it. Great looking, great physique, arrogant, done. That's Buff Bagwell.
I did ultimately like when he became like out of the NWO and he was like a singles guy. I really liked his theme music.
I don't even remember it, to be honest.
Buff, Daddy, I'm Buff on the stuff and the girls can't get it up.
Seeing you,
Buff Daddy.
I hope you make that a clip, because that was hard to watch. That was hard to watch. All right, well, we're gonna move on because I have to for my sanity. DDP's music hits, and he comes running to the ring with the belt around his waist. He drops the belt before he hits the ring, and we kickstart this match with a fun brawl. So the story that I would like to see here, and I think it's a story that would make the most sense between these two. Buff was not a great worker. He had great moments, but he wasn't a great worker. So let's tell a great story. And that is that Buff Bagwell has the advantage if he and DDP are grappling, because Buff is so big and muscle bound. So Bagwell does eventually get his hands on Page and starts to throw him around the ring, getting easy heat with his constant cockiness. We get close to the finish, and Bagwell has had his way with Page for a while. He climbs to the rope for the blockbuster, but Page runs over and doubles him over with a gut shot. And I think we all see where this is going. DDP grabs him with the diamond cutter and gives him the super diamond cutter off the turnbuckle.
Another great revenge move.
An awesome revenge move. And Page gets the win to a massive pop, retaining his U.S. title. But it's not over. Hogan and Savage hit the ring and start kicking the crap out of Diamond Dallas Page. Hogan is carrying a bat and starts laying into DDP's ribs. After a few shots, Hogan lets Savage put the boots to Page, and he starts doing that classic Hogan overselling. Like, he's got the bat over his shoulder and he's looking around.
Brother.
Yep. They're baiting Sting, daring Sting to come down and make the save. But Dominic, the lights go out. And we start to hear some commotion in the ring. When the lights return, Savage is laid out next to DDP, and Sting is standing over him with a bat in his hand. Hogan drops his bat and powders, and the show closes with Sting pointing his bat at the backpedaling Hogan.
Is his music playing?
Of course, Sting's music. No, I don't think his music is playing. We're just gonna let the giant pop of the crowd take over.
Oh, okay.
And that's it. That is the January 5th, 1998 episode of Monday Nitro.
I like it. Set some good things up. You, I think, had a diverse amount of talent on there, and told some new stories. That's enhance some already established ones. So
That's it. Yeah. So as I've been saying, WCW did some great stuff during this era. I'm going to keep some of it, as you guys will see, but I want to improve what they screwed up on, and so hopefully I've got a good start here.
yeah. Now part of my thing is reason Hogan got so big as a heel was because he had Hall and Nash with him. And obviously, like, to this point, it was getting to that point where like something needed to change about the NWO. So I don't know if you're thinking about it or anything like that, but maybe the only feedback I would consider or try to think of is, how are you going to keep Hogan hot?
Well, I thought of the exact same thing because like, let's face it, Scott Norton, big old burly, scary
I love
looking
Scott
dude.
Norton.
Gives one of the most devastating power bombs I've ever seen. Looks like it would hurt anybody. And so but he didn't really turn the dials ever, right? Again, sort of like Buff Bagwell, who's also in the NWO
But
here.
to that point, they never really utilized Norton.
True. But no, believe me, I've thought of that, and I'm like, something's gotta happen to kind of help put Hogan over again. And I've got some ideas.
Cool.
Yeah. So never fear, Dom. I thought of the
I was
same
just throwing
thing.
that out there because I like, my big bone of contention is like, I think Hall and Nash needed Hogan, but also Hogan needed Hall and Nash.
Here's the thing: is like, I think that Hogan turning heel is what got him over. Now Hall and Nash made Hogan cool.
Yes.
And that's the big deal, because Hall and Nash were both incredibly cool. Here's my cat. Hall and Nash are both really cool, and so I think that just having them in the group made Hogan cool. So I think that Hogan can still be a really credible heel. He's just maybe going to be a little bit less of a likable heel.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, but still, we need some fresh blood hanging out with Hulk Hogan.
Not new blood.
Oh no, not for the love of God, not the new blood. No, we are not doing that.
No.
So fun times ahead here though.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, dude. Very intrigued. I really like how you set up Hart and Flair. I'm amped for Sold Out right now. So yeah,
we have quite a card. Booker T just won the TV title, but he's
going against Luger,
facing one of the greats, Lex Luger.
And then Kanyon, what the hell's he up to, man?
With the Fire and the Raven,
and the Zippos. Like, where are we going here?
Well, where am I?
What?
so yeah, it's gonna be fun, and thank you for all the input. Thank you to all the listeners out there. We're loving the support. We're loving the back and forth on Twitter.
Hey, how do they give you more input, Marcus? What do they do?
Oh, by all means, give me a follow at Marcus P. D'Angelo. You can jump into my DMs. I don't care.
Okay,
we can
very
talk
selfish. No, I was trying to promote.
I'm getting there. You settle the hell down. You can jump in my DMs with suggestions or feedback of any kind. I'm definitely open to it. But then also give us a follow on our Twitter for this podcast. It's at WCW Rewritten, and you can also follow my slapdick brother over there, Dominic. How?
At Dominic D'Angelo, just my name, straight up there. That's it. I got it 11 years ago when Twitter was still kicking pretty early. So
you got it nice and early. Good for you.
Nice and early. And then you can follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com and go to WrestleZone.com for all your wrestling news needs. Now, if you want to follow this on our podcast feed, just go to your podcast feed of choice, whether that's iTunes or whether that's Spotify or whether it's another app, and type in WrestleZone podcast, and we should pop up there. Subscribe to that. You'll not only get this podcast, you'll get our other podcast, Two Dynamite Dudes with Attitude, but then you'll get the WrestleZone wrap-ups. You'll get all the interviews that we've done. Since I want these shows to kind of be evergreen, just tune in and take a look at what interviews we got going. So we got some good ones. And as far as there's something else I wanted to mention too is, yes, if you do happen to have iTunes, give us a review. Put a question up on there on iTunes. We'll take a look. And if you have a question or some feedback about the show, we'll be happy to read them on the air too. So
Absolutely. So next week we will be revealing Bret Hart's new theme music.
yes,
So you've got, by the time this is posted, you're only gonna have a couple days to weigh in.
that's correct. Yeah, tweet them in though. Tweet those suggestions in. Now you can, you'll just hit us up. I'll even do a reminder before this podcast gets posted. But like,
And Dom, maybe you can just like cut up the opener of this where we're laying it out, and you can release that earlier in the week.
I could definitely do that too. Yeah,
There you go.
that's a good idea too. So
Cool.
No, Marcus, good stuff. But guess what? We're out of time.
Desperately out of time. The tape machines are rolling. We'll see you guys next week on WCW Rewritten.